Hello there, this is Griffin from the North Star Body, and if stress, anxiety, joint pain, or breathing problems are getting in the way of you living a happy and active life, you're in the right place. Today we're talking about the relationship between your breathing rate and your personality, and how addressing your breathing rate can actually change your relationship to stress and change whether or not you're a more open, connected, creative, playful, and happy person. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. It really helps the channel. So, when we experience a stressful event, one of the things that happens when we go into fight or flight mode is the breathing rate starts to increase. Now, in an ideal world, and the way that it was when we were, say, hunter-gatherers, and the way that it is for most animals, is that fight or flight mode is designed to help our nervous system deal with and react to an acute threat, which means something that might be really intense, but it doesn't last for a very long time. So once you've run away from the predator or once you've hunted your food and killed it, then the nervous system goes back into a state of equilibrium. Everything comes back to normal and you're able to go about your life, and you don't hold on to the stress and the trauma. And by trauma, I mean the body holding on to the response from a stressful event. Ideally, we don't hold on to it, we discharge it, and then we go about life. But that's not really the way it works in modern society, unfortunately, because we have so many chronic low-level stressors in our lives. Fight with our boss or a family member, maybe we walk across the street and we almost get hit by a car. These things, we don't have the space usually or the resources to come back from that. So we hold on to it. And the physiological response, including your increased breathing rate, almost got in a car accident, oh my God. Now, I don't have the opportunity to get my breathing rate back down. So how does that affect my life? Well, the stressful event might have caused the increase in breathing rate, but the increase in breathing rate causes the brain to reinterpret the situation as stressful. So you think about a feedback loop, right? So you're stressed because of something that happened, and so your breathing rate increases. But then the brain reinterprets the breathing rate as I'm under threat and causes you to remain stressed. That stress causes you to continue breathing harder and faster, and the brain interprets that hard, fast breathing as threat detection. So this feedback loop is very, very real, and a lot of us don't realize the impact that the body to brain messaging, i.e. how our breathing tells our brain that we're still under stress. We don't realize the role that that plays. Now, imagine that our breathing rate continues being fast for, let's say, days and even weeks. That starts to shape our worldview. Because if we almost got in a car accident and we never got the space or we didn't know how to bring ourselves back to a state of neutral, then we're not really recovered from that. And so our breathing stays like this, even though it's been weeks since the event happened. We might think it's completely over. We don't realize how it's affected our breathing. But that fast breathing rate is telling the brain, I'm under threat, I'm still in fight or flight. Now, here's the crazy part. The brain's job, if we're in fight or flight, is to detect a threat. So imagine that you're a hunter-gatherer and you're sleeping in the woods or the jungle somewhere and you hear a roar or a growl in the distance. Well, not only does your body prepare itself to run away or to fight, but your brain's job is to figure out what the threat is. Is this an animal? Is this somebody who wants to eat me? Or is it somebody who's just being territorial? What's my best course of action? How do I remain safe? So the brain is trying to figure this out. Now, imagine if you're in this state today all the time. How are you interpreting every reaction with every human being? That they're a potential threat, whether you realize it or not. If you're in this chronic, low-level state of fight or flight, every person you talk to, the brain is subconsciously trying to identify whether they're a threat to your safety. Every situation you put yourself in, every relationship that you have becomes potentially threatening. If this is the state that you're in, it's very, very difficult to remain open and loving and creative and playful and all of the things that characterize a healthy nervous system and a fulfilling life. So think about how you might not even realize that your breathing rate is faster than it needs to be. And it might be fast because of an accumulation of stressful things that you were never able to deal with. That's really common. And think about how if you're somebody who's generally closed off to new ideas, or you have a hard time being creative, or your relationships don't feel as open and fulfilling as they could be, how your breathing rate is actually physiologically changing your worldview. Now, how do we deal with this? Well, we need a breathing practice that trains us over time to change our default breathing pattern to something that's slower, more gentle, more expansive. And we want to make sure it's through the nose as well. So if you have 10 minutes a day before bed, I recommend you get really comfortable, try to get as relaxed as possible. Take a few breaths through the nose, in and out, just whatever feels nice for you. Then set a timer for 10 minutes. Breathe in for 3 seconds and out for 6 seconds, as relaxed as possible. If that feels a little too difficult, you can change the exhale to 5 seconds, even 4 seconds if you need to, but making sure that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Now, this practice might start feeling a little unnatural or a little difficult, but the more you get used to it, even over the span of the 10 minutes, at minute 1 and 2, you might find it awkward or uncomfortable, but if you stick with it and go for 10 minutes, you might find that you're able to relax more and your breathing rate stabilizes. If you make this a daily practice, you are starting to ingrain the habit of slower breathing into your nervous system, and it's likely going to cause a better relationship with stress and maybe even a different worldview. If this was helpful, again, make sure you like the video, share it with somebody you know needs it, and we'll see you next time.